There was an idea. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people, see if they could become something more.
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
This is the Marvel Tribe, brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's edition of the Marvel Tribe. We're brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and DisInsider.com. I'm joined by Sam. I'm joined by David the Blurred Hulk and our special guest tonight, Bill from EarB&B. How is everybody doing tonight?
I am good.
Good. Sam, how are you doing?
Amazing. Super excited to talk about WandaVision tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Mr. Blurred Hulk, how are you, sir?
Dude, fantastic. This, man, talking about a payoff episode.
Right?
I can't wait to get into this.
Absolutely. And Bill from EarB&B, how you doing, my friend?
Yes, sir. Things are good here. Man, what an episode.
Yes, I want to thank you while we have you on here for being the voice of our intro. So I really appreciate you doing that for us as well, too. So,
of course.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Perfect. So what we'll do this week, we will do a complete rundown of the episode so everyone has an idea of what kind of happened. Then we will dive into some Easter eggs, some theories, some thoughts. Then we will we'll watch the preview for next week, kind of discuss that at the end and see what our thoughts are compared to that. So, Sam, the floor is yours. Tell us all about what happened this week.
Before we do that,
Go ahead. I just want to add one thing that happened, but that wasn't in there that kicks this whole thing off. Hulk snaps his finger. Now,
I've got it. Yes, Hulk snaps his finger. Do we want to do our initial impressions of the episode before we jump into the rundown?
We can do that. Absolutely, we can do that.
Yes.
Bill, what were your thoughts of the episode?
Anyone who has been complaining for the last 3 weeks that things are too slow, here was your payoff.
I agree.
That this gave you everything you wanted and needed in spades. It covered all of the last 3 episodes and what has happened. And wow, I was so impressed with the episode and so excited for next week already.
That's exactly why I wanted to do the initial impressions right now, because that's the point we needed to make is everybody who has been saying, I don't know, I can't get into it, it's not moving fast enough. I want to say, is it moving fast enough for you now?
Right.
I like it now.
How about you, David?
Oh man, dude, I was on board from the get-go, and yes, all the people, I heard feedback from tons and tons of people. I'm a part of, I administer a lot of different groups and stuff, and people who are new to this realm are used to that action, everything kind of packed in, visual, everything kind of like right there. And so they're the ones who are typically the ones like, oh, it's slow, I'm confused, I don't, I have to be an expert to know, to follow along and stuff. And then episode 4 happens, and oh man, I got people in here telling me that who are the ones who are the biggest complainers are like, dude, this happens and this makes sense, and it's, oh my God, like it was great.
What about you, Shawn?
I agree. It was funny because I was on my way to work, and I usually try to watch it once in the morning on my way to work. I'll watch it on my phone, which isn't the smartest thing to do while you're driving, but I'll watch it. It takes me a half hour to get to work, so it works. But so my son texted me, and he's a huge Marvel fan. Says, "Dad, you watch episode 8 like at 7:30 in the morning?" I said, "No, I haven't finished it yet." He goes, "Kind of a filler episode. I'm not too sure about it." And I was like halfway through it. I'm like, "Are you absolutely out of your mind that it was a filler episode?" That Brady too, don't you, David? My older son. Yeah. He's like, it was a filler. I'm like, you're out of your damn mind. And then we have Sunday dinner every Sunday, and I just saw him. I said, you're absolutely crazy. This was, for someone that doesn't understand this stuff, it made sense to me, and I understood it, and I feel like I can actually contribute more to the conversation because it kind of picked up, like Sam said, or like you said too, right after the snap. You're like, holy crap, this is real time, live right now. This is where it's happening. So I thought it was amazing and really, really good. So yeah, good stuff. And I can't wait for the next episode, because when we talk about that, there's some cool things coming up, it looks like. So
All right, so I'm going to jump into the rundown.
Okay.
So we start the episode with recaps from episode 3, and we see Geraldine is being kicked out of Westview. Then we are flashed back to before Geraldine ever entered into Westview. We see her rematerializing after the blip from Endgame, and it's just chaos. So we know there's that snap. Half the world is gone in Infinity War, and then we know that the Hulk causes the blip, and we get everybody back in Endgame. So we learned that Geraldine was who we suspected her to be. She was Monica Rambeau, and she's in the hospital. She's looking for her mother. She is starting to put the timeline together. I'm hearing a lot of feedback. She's starting to put the timeline together and realizes that her mom, Maria Rambeau, died 3 years prior to that from cancer.
That was rough.
Yeah. So she's figuring all of this out, and that's when we're kind of getting the timeline, because we know that the blip was about 5 years after the snap. So we're about 5 years after the end of Infinity War, just after Endgame. And then we jump ahead to 3 weeks later. We are at SWORD. Monica's credentials no longer work. She meets the acting director, Tyler Hayward, and they're talking about SWORD projects. He tells her that she's grounded. She doesn't get to go into space right now. And she has to go help the FBI on a missing persons case because they need a SWORD drone. She gets to the Westview town border and she sees Jimmy Woo. And nobody there or anybody that Jimmy Woo has talked to knows about Westview. There are even sheriffs standing in front of the Welcome to Westview sign. And they're like, there's no such town as Westview. What are you talking about? We're from Eastview. And that's when Monica and Jimmy are like, okay, something really weird is happening here. Monica ends up sending a drone in and it kind of just disappears, like falls off the face of the earth, basically. And then she ends up walking into the force field, whatever it is, and disappears as well. And that's when SWORD puts together their entire, it was the Army, the Air Force, and all of their scientists. Yeah. They pulled all of their operations and they set up base outside of Westview. They're trying to figure out everything. That's when we meet Dr. Darcy Lewis. Yes. And she starts to pick up on things right away. So she says that there's a lot of cosmic microwave background radiation, and over that she realizes there's a broadcast frequency superimposed over the noise. They did explain the CMBR as something that kind of happens after the Big Bang Theory, or after the Big Bang. So we can safely assume that there's probably some kind of connection there, that there was some kind of Big Bang to create whatever is happening in Westview. She asks for an old TV. We do see SWORD send in a man in like a hazmat type suit into the sewer to try and investigate, and he's got a tether on. Later, we do see that tether break. They're doing more analysis, and Darcy gets the TV working, and they realize it's Wanda and Vision on TV, and everybody's like, it can't be. What's going on here? Vision's dead. Why are there two Avengers on TV? They're working through everything. And then we get to see the end of episode 1, where we see Darcy's hand pulling away, and she's got the notebook there. So we figured out, yes, our theories are correct. Darcy is watching this from the outside. They are starting to figure out the actual people that have been the cast for the roles in the sitcom. And they're matching them to their real lives, and they're writing questions on the board. They're basically trying to uncover this whole mystery. Darcy makes a plan for Jimmy to talk on the radio to Wanda, and that ends up bringing us to that episode 2 scene with Dottie where she cuts her hand. When the characters break character from outside interference, like we've seen in the past couple episodes, Darcy's not seeing that on the TV. Somebody is censoring it. So we saw Dottie say, "Who is that? Who are you?" But Darcy couldn't see that on the TV. And then we saw the SWORD drone that was found in the sitcom has changed from the one that they sent in. And they mentioned that perhaps that's production quality. That does come into play again when the man in the hazmat suit is coming out of the sewer and his tether to reality outside of Westview is broken. Again, the production quality of his suit has changed, and the beast showed up. His suit looks different. We are just going to guess that's production quality too, because we don't really know yet. Maybe we do. I can't. Maybe David knows later. They're watching Wanda have the twins, and then they hear Geraldine say Ultron, and then they're like, oh, this is a connection to the real world, and all of a sudden the broadcast is censored again. We know that Wanda threw her out, but Darcy again couldn't see that. Then we get to see more from Wanda's perspective as she's throwing Geraldine out. It was very aggressive, and she says, you're not my friend or my neighbor. You're a trespasser here. You're not welcome. You need to leave. Goodbye. Vision comes in and asks where Geraldine is, and we get a quick glimpse of a dead Vision and with a crushed head. I'm not going to cry, but that was traumatizing for me. I'm like, I didn't want to see this right now. Then Wanda looks away and she looks back, and it's back to this illusion of Vision. And he says, we don't have to stay here. And Wanda says, yes, we do. This is our home. I've got everything under control. Then the final scene cuts out to, it's not the final scene. The end, we get a cute little thing with Vision and Wanda. But before that, we get Monica laying on the ground outside of Westview, and she says, it's Wanda. It's all Wanda. Wrong. And there's your quick Breanna. Are you still saying wrong, friend?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interject.
No, not at all.
Not at all. I thought I was muted still. Sorry.
It is not wrong.
I know it is.
In the conversations that we've been having, David and I have both pointed out to you frequently that This is the Scarlet Witch we are talking about.
You've tipped me back and forth many times in the past 2 days, so
I'm sorry for that.
I don't know what the hell to think.
hey, Marvel characters can be complicated. I'll just say that. But in this case, the complication is that Wanda is evil.
I hope I'm right at the end. I hope I'm right at the end.
Well, time will tell. We have several more episodes to go. We're only on episode 4 of a 9-part series, so who knows what happens. It's really, I'll just say this: the writers at Marvel, man. You got the same. They're coming from the same talent pool as these great writers who wrote these comic books and stuff. The same think tanks. I would love to be a fly in those creative process rooms and stuff when they're creating this stuff. But this isn't an interpretation. They're pulling from wealth of information from the comic books, what we've seen in the MCU so far, and they're just kind of weaving it in like they do so very professionally and magically. So it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. So all that just to say, Wanda is bad right now.
See, I think that's too easy of an answer. I think it's too obvious. And if there's one thing we've learned from Marvel, it's that what seems obvious all of the time isn't necessarily the way that it is. So I think that's what they want you to believe. And we're going to see by the end of it that maybe she's not innocent, but at least we understand why things came about. I don't think they're going to turn her completely evil.
Here's my thing, though. She's the Scarlet Witch. Nobody is going to make her do this. They may have something that's encouraging her to do this. She may not have been the one to set this up. Right. But ultimately, she's not behaving the way an Avenger would, because an Avenger would be trying to save these people who are trapped in this alternate whatever we have going on here. She's not trying to save anybody. She wants them trapped there.
No, what she wants is a life with Vision.
And that's it.
By trapping by trapping other people, that makes her evil.
No, not necessarily. I'm sorry, David, I didn't hear you there.
No, I was saying she's like we've seen Wanda's been manipulated before. This isn't new to us. We've seen as her and her twin brother as they're growing up, under the guise of why am I losing my. Anyway, we've seen how they were turning, her and her kind of warped ideas against, Stark and the Avengers and everything else. And then how things kind of slowly came about, how she became an Avenger. She's like anyone else. She's not like anyone else. She has a freaking Omega level amount of power, but she's also fragile. and people can manipulate her. And if you manipulate her in the right way, like, hey, we can bring back the love of your life. That's a very real possibility. There could be another agent that's a force that is at work here, which, we all suspect that that's the case. But I think the big question is, how complicit is Wanda in this? How involved is she? Just like, I want what I want, I don't really care what happens to everyone else and stuff? Or is she like, I didn't realize all of this stuff was going on. I thought, this is my reality and no one's really getting hurt in my reality because I get what I want and we get to happen. So we're not sure.
So I have a question, because at the end of the episode, when you see him dead, right? And she kind of looks down, freaked out, looks back up, and he says, "We can go anywhere," and she says, "No, we can't." So is that because? Then that's why you guys say she's yes, I believe she controls some of this, but not all of it. That there is someone controlling her. Another question I have is that Rambo was sent there for missing persons, and they have not said who that missing person is. Who's the missing person? Is it Wanda? Is it another agent that we don't know on the side yet? Thoughts on that? Just
I can rule out Wanda. So here's the thing: no Avenger would ever be put in witness location.
Okay,
and Jimmy would have known that. Jimmy placed this person, so Jimmy Woo knows who it is.
Correct. Yeah, and they definitely. And no offense to Jimmy, I love Agent Woo, but no Avenger would also be under his care either. Not that he's not stellar at his job, but if witness protection was to happen for any Avenger and stuff, it would not be. This is like Nick Fury, more realm than so. Whoever is under witness protection, I think is going to be a big integral part to what's going on.
Exactly. But and maybe we haven't even seen that person yet.
Now, can I, speaking on the witness protection thing, can I talk to that a little bit? I found it to be incredibly fascinating and interesting, the fact that when Wu said what got him on that plane from the West Coast was that when he went to go question all the family, the close friends of the witness protected person. Oh, not only that they didn't know where he was, they had no clue who this person was. The amount of the power it takes to whoever, and I do think the witness protected person is in that little hexagon barrier. The amount of mental fortitude it takes to change people's minds from the West Coast. He was talking to these people on the West Coast. They had no clue. Not just the people outside that 5-mile perimeter, like the cops or anything like that. So there's a huge amount of power that is happening here. And I thought that was very telling when Wu talked about that. That was really
absolutely. And Monica too, brings up another good point when she tells Jimmy Woo, why do you see it? Why do you know about it? Why do I know about it? Mm-hmm. Are we not personally connected? So I'm curious to see how they play out that story of who can see it and who can't see it.
So I'd say we break this down like from the beginning to the end, and just like what you guys in that beginning first 5 minutes when she got to the sword office. What are your takes just from that time there?
So you mentioned something to me in passing that I just overlooked, and it was about Director Haywood.
That guy's a douche. I'm sorry.
Okay, so it was a blind spot for me. Like, I wasn't picking up on that because I was trying to focus on everything else. And then when you mentioned that, I told you I was going to go back and rewatch. Yeah. And it hit me so good. So when he obviously scheduled a meeting with Monica. Monica came. She knew she has a meeting with Director Haywood, acting director Haywood. Now, Monica Rambeau, who is way more qualified than Hayward, who mom built sword and everything else, was going to come to a meeting to meet with you today, and you don't activate her security clearance.
Bingo.
The little subtle things and stuff, like in his, I'll let someone else talk after I say this piece. In his own office, you see the pictures on the back of the wall. They're kind of shaped like the hexagon and stuff like that. I mean, we all see the sword base. The sword base is, you got a hexagon behind you. What? Oh, that's a pentagon behind you.
Me?
Yeah, that's
Disneyland.
Yeah, that's Disneyland. I was like, oh, there's a hexagon back there. But no, that's the famous Pentagon. But yeah, he has a little hexagon made out of the picture frames and stuff like that. So I have a working theory, which I'll go into later after someone else talks, that he might be a Skrull. That's awesome.
Sam said that too. So
yeah, I said I had two theories about him. One was that he could be a Skrull, and the other one was that he could possibly be related to Brian Hayward, who was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was sent from Hydra as part of the Centipede Project to kind of like attack S.H.I.E.L.D., and they ended up killing him. So, and I do think that we're still looking at a Hydra connection because we still get these Hydra commercials and we can't directly tie them to anything. And that last Hydra commercial we saw was unlocking the goddess within. So I'm wondering if maybe Hydra has done something here to help Wanda, if they're trying to get something from Wanda. And so they're giving her whatever she has right now. Right. So if that is a Hydra connection, Hydra easily has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. in the past, so I think that they could easily infiltrate S.W.O.R.D. as well.
See, the commercials, I think they are just reliving points from Wanda's past. And that's what I think the relevance of the commercials are. It's just reliving those things. The Stark and the toaster, which is something that Vision was called in the comics for a while.
And it reminded us of the bomb. But Bill, my question is that last Hydra commercial where it says they were unlocking the goddess, can you tie that to a moment in Wanda's history? In Wanda's memory? Because to me, that is something that we didn't get to see as a fan yet. That's something that happened to Wanda that we didn't get to see yet.
The only, if I you mind if I jump in, Bill?
Yeah,
absolutely. Open forum.
the only thing. Now, I agree with you. I think there's more to it. I think it's a mixture of both, a past memory, but there's some coded messages that is strictly for Wanda. But I agree with the unlocking the goddess. But if we had to go with just Bill, this is just referencing pure archival stuff that she's experienced and it's formatting in the commercial. If I had to answer that question, I would say the unlocking would be when the Mind Stone unlocked her powers, because that's and the great thing about that with the cosmic energy, the CMBR, it created the Mind Stone. I mean, it created all the Infinity Stones and stuff, and not only that, it helped unlock her powers. And so with that, we've seen the Affinity Glove go off twice on Earth, which we don't know what effect that would have on Wanda's powers. My theory is that it really unlocked a lot of stuff for Wanda and stuff, both of those times that they got snapped. But the unlocking the goddess within could be, if we go with just archival referencing, the Mind Stone unlocking the Scarlet Witch's power. Now, with that said, I want to believe that we're about to see the Omega unlocking. So it's more clear to the audience about how powerful of a being she actually is. And so there's a coded message about what's to come. I want to believe that, but that's where I'm at on that.
Okay. So I have so we're talking about the Mind Stone, even though this is kind of off topic, and we're going to skip ahead a second because obviously the Mind Stone is what was in Vision's head, correct?
Yes.
So when at the end of Endgame, when Captain America went back and put all the stones back, is there any chance he put the stone back in Vision somehow, or is that just way out there?
No, because he didn't get. They put it back in the time and place that they actually got it and stuff.
I'm just reaching, dude.
Yeah, no. So they got it before Vision actually got it. So that timeline would skew if he didn't put it back in the exact same place that he got
Fair enough. So moving forward in the show, go ahead, Bill. Do you want to say something?
No, I just it kind of related to that. So we know that the Mind Stone is where it should be, and therefore it is not in Vision's head. So that's where I think when they showed Vision dead, as Sam talked about in that recap, that was reality. Yeah, that was reality. And how he is doing that, we don't know. We don't know if somehow he is still alive in some way without the Mind Stone, or if she has like reanimated his
dead body.
Yeah. Which, given that he's an artificial thing, that it's a little less heebie-jeebie-ish than if it was just a dead person being reanimated. But
well, I saw a theory on that she actually took the body when they picked his body up at the end of Infinity War, and she had his body somewhere, and that she brought him into this situation, and he's basically dead. But in her and everyone else's eyes, he's dead, but in her eyes, she's alive. So
I am gonna say, living or non-living, it still gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Oh, absolutely. I did not expect that at all, but that was crazy.
So I've actually heard that too, and I've actually challenged that and not that theory is wrong. I actually challenged the notion, because there's speculation and there's theory, and when we theorize what goes on, we usually provide some kind of snippet of evidence, like some kind of tell or some secret thing or something. And there was nothing that showed that she took his body. It's just so it's not really a theory; it's a speculation. I've heard that too, but I was like, show me what's triggering that you think she, other than we see him there, but that's not saying she took his body. So
I don't know if it's true, but I did hear a rumor that there was a post-credits endgame scene that included that. And they ended up cutting that from the final version. Now, I can't confirm that. I haven't seen anything else, but I've heard that rumor.
Okay. I'd like to see that footage.
Me too.
We might.
The other thing that I kind of wonder is, if the multiverse did exist somehow, whether it be because of the snaps, whether it be because of the Big Bang type thing, of the energy force, could we be seeing a vision from one of the other multiverses as well? That's something that I don't think I've heard anyone talk about, but that could be another cool thing.
Yeah, but we saw Dead Vision.
We did.
Well, but maybe it wasn't reality.
Scarred. Yeah, we got scarred with the Dead Vision.
Yeah. Maybe that was
way ahead, and that was my bad. I'm sorry.
Maybe that was just something in her head that she, maybe that wasn't reality, but rather just an unfortunate image based on
PTSD for her.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
I get that. Yeah.
So let's take it back to the town border.
Sorry.
You're welcome.
If we can even go back further than that for a second, because I was super impressed how much sympathy they garnered for Monica, between her getting banished from the town and trying to be a real friend to Wanda, and then getting banished from the town, and then the first thing we see in her real life is her finding out that her mom died.
Oh man,
that the amount of sympathy and goodwill that they gave Monica just by doing that is incredible, kind of really setting her up as the heroine of all of this.
Oh, I did a blip.
No, that was me. I was messing around. Sorry.
So off of what you said, Bill, every origin story starts out that way. We're just kind of, I think we're going to see Spectrum's origin story in part of this series. And Marvel's very good at executing that tragedy, that working your way up, it's their MO. And so I'm like, are we watching something else unfold here? Like, I really think we're about to see Spectrum origin story unfold here and stuff through the series.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, definitely. So, and does anybody else have anything else they want to say about that scene at the town lines where the police didn't recognize anything and Monica sends the drone in?
The amazing up close magic trick
from Ant-Man. I love that. I actually rewound that the first time I saw it, which upset Sam. She's like, I don't care about the magic trick, but I had to see it again. Yes.
Couldn't do it. Yeah.
David just did the magic trick. I like
up close magic DVDs.
And did you notice that the drone that Monica pulled out was the Captain America colors before it ended up going into Westwood or West
View.
whatever.
Westview, yeah.
So yeah, you got to see Captain American colors, or Captain Marvel colors, which also then you saw the flashback when she came back from the snap of you heard Captain Marvel's voice in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a far out
calling her Lieutenant Trouble.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, the audio from Captain Marvel and stuff where she was kind of blipping back into love that, and then Lieutenant Trouble. But the drone. So this is far out there. This is just, I have no real basis on this, but I'm going off of the color, and this, just hear me out. So we see the new technology drone that Monica accused, fires up to go into there. It has, some people say it's Captain Marvel's colors and stuff. We do know that Monica helped Captain Marvel pick her outfit and her suit and her color combination and all that on the stoops of her mom's house there. But and then when the drone goes back into time, it converts into what we would say is Iron Man colors. Now, here's my speculation. I don't know if it has any bearing on this, but we'll see.
I like that you called it a speculation,
yes,
and not a theory, because you're saying you don't have any backing.
I don't have any support on this, but all I want to say is when it traveled, because it traveled back into that time period and stuff. What if the root of things that go back in those time period is not just that it's fitting for that, but it goes to the base of so if I were to go back into the 50s, I would kind of go to the base of my family genealogy. So I would look more akin to like my grandparents and look at everything else. And so I say that is the base of that technology is Stark technology. But when that new technology went back, it was shifted back to where the root of that drone came from, which was Stark Industries. So that's why it changed back to the you saw the yellow and the crimson and stuff on the old drone. That wasn't a working drone, because drone technology is the newer technology and stuff. So I'm just thinking it's more of a base transfer. So when things go back into there, stuff like the cable turning into an old jump rope and stuff. I don't know. One can argue that cables weren't really ever jump ropes and stuff, but I'm just going with this. That's just my little thing.
I like it.
That's
how the production quality is changing.
Yeah. So Word's technology is built up on top of Stark's technology, and you got to see that.
Yep. I agree. So, anything else? Anybody else noted from that scene where they're at the?
Well, we already touched on. We don't know who the missing person is, so right. That's
David. Do you know? Do you have a suspicion?
I want it to be Luis so bad. That guy talks so much, and I think maybe he talked himself into some trouble. And we're gonna see him in like the '80s rendition of the show somehow or something, sitting there talking to Wanda's children about some story about something Ant-Man related. I want it to be Luis. I have no clue who it can be.
Yeah. So something that I was curious about, and maybe you can help me with this: the force field that is there, I guess, to keep people out and keep people from getting out. How was Monica able to break through that? Does she already have some of those powers?
No, that's a good point.
Because that's why they were talking about, well, how do we know it's going to be any different below ground a little bit later on when they were sending the guy that turned into the beekeeper. So how did Monica break through where presumably others couldn't?
Well, the drones broke through too, didn't they? They just disappeared.
Right. They did go through. So stuff. Now here I get where you're going with this, Bill, because I saw something, and we'll talk about this towards the end of the show about the previews for the next episodes. But they tried a full-on batter ram that thing. So there's some field blocking some things or something from getting in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain that, but I'm right there with you on what you're thinking. How does she get out? And I think, again, this place where I think we're going to see Monica's origin stories and what Wanda did to her when she blasted her through the four walls. Basically, you know, her baby's room, the house, the fence, and then the
force field,
the force field, 4 walls, we're gonna see something. It's not. I don't think it's as easy to escape like that and stuff. And so her magic, I think, helped or did something to Wanda to get her to exit out of this reality and stuff.
The fact that she's okay after that says something about her, because you get busted through 4 walls and don't have a broken bone, but you're able to land and then just say, it's Wanda, it's all Wanda. Yep. That's not normal. So something else is going on there. Sorry, Sam.
Part of me feels like we may have just seen Monica start to get her powers, because doesn't she get her powers from like some interdimensional radiation?
Yep.
Like a cosmic event type thing. Well, she was just blasted through 2 dimensions with different radiation levels, and we saw she was glowing red at the end.
Yeah.
I know that was still Wanda's residual powers on her, but part of me feels like we may have just seen her get her powers, Monica.
From Wanda?
No, from
whatever
impact of the 2 dimensions and the CMBR.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And to kind of back up a little bit, when they were still at Sword headquarters, they talked about the astronaut program, and exactly. That is one thing that I think we're going to see perhaps also get introduced in the last 5 episodes is the Fantastic Four, knowing how they got their powers with the whatever the cosmic rays, I think it was. Yep. That is how they initially got their powers. If we start to see, a Reed Richards or the Storms or Ben Grimm somewhere as Sword agents or as FBI agents, we're going to see that. Yeah.
Hayward did say that the astronaut training program that they had been trying, the astronauts were not doing too well.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
He said they had to cancel the program.
Wow.
And so see, that's another part of me that just distrusts Hayward. I'm really, everything he's saying is kind of sus at this point in time and stuff. And it's just, and you put that little P inside my head there, Shawn, and stuff. And I just overlooked it and stuff. But yeah, what
about when they're finally figuring out that, there are these 2 Avengers on TV, and then
the working theory.
And then he's like, I need to get out of here. I thought
that was so weird. He just had to bolt all of a sudden.
He did. He was like, I need to get I need to get back to headquarters. Yeah, I got to get back to headquarters. I'm like, well, who are you going to talk to? In my head, I was like, he's going to talk to Hydra, because I have my Hydra theories going on. But that's what I was like, he's not a good guy.
The ultimate villain.
And you heard how casually he knew about the CMBRs, and like you saw how like the other scientists are like, what is that? And then the PhD expert, Darcy, Dr. Lewis, had to explain it. But when she said it again, she was like, oh yeah, relic cosmic radiation. Like, duh. For me, a Skrull absolutely would know that, because their technology is just. But I don't know. It's not something that your average everyday human being would just kind of know. That, again, I could be just reaching and stuff, but there's just something fishy about Director Hayward, and there's all these little telltale signs I think are being planted. So,
So why do you think that we are seeing censored? What's Darcy seeing is censored, as opposed to what we've seen in the first 3 episodes?
Because Wanda wants no one to see that she can get. I think it's because Wanda wants no one to see that they can control, that they can communicate with her.
I think that's it too. I think that
she cuts that out, and she says, "Nope, this isn't working. You're not going to let this happen."
Mm-hmm. I think she's trying to show them that the outside interference has no impact on what's happening, but I'm also not sure.
Yeah. So here's where I'm confused. don't know if this is purposefully done this way or not, but we're supposed to be led to believe that anything from the outside and that happens that kind of interferes with things, it gets skipped over. Like we don't, the outsiders don't, agitators or whatever interference don't get to see it. It's kind of blipped or whatever, skipped over. But we got to see the helicopter, the drone, full color, the most confusing thing ever and stuff. Like when they brought the picture to Agent Wu and stuff, it's like, hey, this is so
He's like, why did you colorize it? Why did you colorize it? And she's like, I didn't.
So we got to see some outside interference and other. So I don't know where to take that stuff.
Yeah, and Darcy also saw right after Jimmy Woo tried to talk to her through the radio. Darcy saw a little something extra there too, but then pulled that in close to her vest, and she's now the only one who knows that little bit of information. So I'm curious to see how that's going to come back up later as well.
What was that again? Can you remind me?
Wasn't it the breaking of the glass?
Yeah, She heard the breaking of the glass and everything, and then it just
Okay,
yeah, that's where she was like, "What the." Because it didn't sync up. She heard you heard the audio and everything very clear and everything, and it just didn't sync up. That's what got her off. She's like, and she said, "Never mind." To Woo,
Jimmy Woo, yeah.
So, yeah. And I also noticed that we're seeing they're seeing the same thing we are, which I love the fact that they're playing investigators like all of the audience and stuff is. Woo and Darcy, love that. It's like they're right there with us and stuff. We're all kind of solving this puzzle here. One of the things, so we know that they see the commercials because the watch, the Strucker watch commercial comes on when Darcy, after the radio thing and stuff. But we don't hear, and I think they're doing this on purpose. They're purposely hiding out of view or the conversation about, because they're taking feverish notes and stuff, so they would have noted Hydra is written on these like we're seeing commercials. Hydra, there's no mention of that and stuff at all. So I think there's some kind of, they're purposely hiding that. Maybe there's a reveal in the next episode as to why that is and stuff. But I thought that was very odd and telling too, that they're kind of hiding some of those pieces.
Let's talk about the board, the cast board.
Yeah.
Where they are finding out who everybody who everybody is in the cast for the sitcom, and they're putting their IDs up there. Anything special you noticed about that?
Well, besides the fact that Agnes had no ID, and there was really nothing. Her picture was just there. Everything else looks like are those people that Wanda's creating is she casting them, or are these people that were actually live in this town and she just, you're this person now? So
yeah, it could be
kind of what I got out of that.
Everyone could be puppets, just like Vision could be a puppet. Everyone else is in the same thing, in that same boat.
Who didn't have an ID?
Agnes.
Oh, yeah.
Agnes didn't. And who wasn't on the board at all?
Ralph.
Dottie.
And Dottie.
And
yeah,
Ralph, obviously Ralph. We
haven't seen Ralph at all, so.
But we've seen Dottie, and they've seen Dottie, and Dottie's not on the board. So. But
what do you think that means?
I think it's concrete evidence that Agnes is Agatha Harkness, the old timely witch who's 1,000 years old. Why would she ever have a use for it to go down to the DMV and get an ID? And the thing is, that's also not her true form. So I'm pretty sure they did a facial search like they showed. I think that was purposely done. They did a facial search, and the picture came back nowhere because that's not Agatha Harkness' true form. And
absolutely,
then Dottie's the mystery for me. Why they saw her? She's in the episode.
She's in the episode, exactly.
Not sure why she's not on the board.
I'm not. Could she be who's in the witness protection?
Oh,
but they said him.
They did say him. Yeah,
they referenced the guy. In witness.
Maybe it's Ralph.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Agnes's husband, Ralph.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe Ralph is Luis, and she's sick and tired of talking and tell all these stories.
I mean, I would not blame her. But I love that, like, there's still things that we can't figure out. Like, we've invested this time into talking about it and looking at the Easter eggs, and I love that there's still some things that we can't figure out.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm at the place where I really want to know if they saw the interaction with the stork. I want to know if they saw the magic cat, the stork casting off the magic and stuff. I want to know if they saw that piece of that sorrow, if that was blipped out. And also, I don't know. I'm going back and forth between. I know Mephisto's is in here somewhere. Yep. He's there. In disguise, and I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out to be Dottie. I wouldn't be. My theory would be right if he turns out to he was a stork. He appeared as a stork, casting off Wanda's magic and cackling at her and stuff. But that's where I'm at. That's my suspicions, right? Okay. But Dottie's a major character.
Yeah.
And
I think Ralph is too, because Ralph is just mentioned kind of all the time, but you never hear anything of Ralph and never seen anything of Ralph. But so is the stork the bad guy or is Dottie the bad guy?
Why not both?
Or is Dottie the stork?
Yeah, right. No, that's very true. And I did see one theory that I don't know who Nightmare is. I know that's a character, I guess, as Nightmare. Yes. Is actually Vision and messing with her. I don't know, but that's a whole nother thing, but could be. So I don't know enough about it. So
I'm gonna say I don't think that's the case because we keep seeing Wanda reset Vision to reality. So she wouldn't, like, if it was Nightmare wouldn't need to be reset.
No. And the power reveals Wanda's resistance to that. No, it couldn't be Nightmare. And plus, we also see enough of Vision that we're starting to see him become more curious. This is the thing as the episodes go on. If Nightmare was playing the role, he would play the role throughout and stuff, and it would be kind of it'd be a interesting twist. But no, I definitely smart money. I don't think it's Nightmare at all.
I'm still trying to process the whole dead Vision at the end, and then she glances away and then looks back at him, and now he's not dead, and he's got the Mind Stone. Like, I'm still trying to process what we saw there.
Yeah.
Did we see reality for a second and then we're pulled back into her illusion, or
maybe she really did steal his body? And then,
but really, with all of that, if he is dead and reanimated, then how is he slipping? How is he the one that is slipping out of reality or seeing reality in all of that? So is that just part of her subconscious who keeps going there? Is that what that is? Or is there some real Vision is still alive thing going on? I'm sorry, Shawn, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and when we watch the preview here in a little bit, you're going to see that he's figuring more stuff out even. So maybe everything we're talking about it's great. I don't know.
I am very hesitant to say that Vision is still alive. I think that would be amazing because I don't want Vision to be dead.
Right.
But knowing what we know from the MCU, I'm very hesitant to say that Vision is alive because he was, as Darcy points out, he was not blipped. He is dead.
But if there's one thing we've also seen in Marvel Comics through the years, it's people dying and coming back to life. It's happened to Captain America. It's happened to so many of the big heroes. But then why
did we see him with his dead, bashed-in head?
Could it just be
whoever's messing with Wanda?
Just having a nightmare flashback? If all of this is inside of her head,
that's true.
We can't control our dreams. So sometimes our dreams turn into nightmares. And if you're as powerful as she is, maybe you're able to manipulate that back to something after the nightmare starts to happen.
Well, I'm on the fence with this, and I'm okay with being on the fence with this. And I'm going to tell you why. The jump rope is what makes me on the fence with this. So the jump rope is a lot more significant than a lot of people thing when Agent Franklin goes to the sewers to go into the town. And
it's his tether.
Yeah, his tether converts partly into the part that goes into the town, converts into a jump rope. What this shows, in whatever she creates in that reality that she creates, or whoever creates, is real on the outside. And I think the biggest reason for showing that is, one, to solidify that the twins are real. The twins she gave birth to, that created inside that reality with their powers, which we're going to see, hopefully, and everything, or is going to exist in reality. Just like that jump rope and stuff. I would believe wholeheartedly Vision is fully dead if when that jump rope came back and it slowly started to go back to the reality version of what it actually was. But it stayed there, and we saw it drag back through the sewer. We saw them wheel it up. We saw them look at it. It was a really good several shots of that. So there has to been. They don't just shoot things for no reason. If they wanted us to believe that reality doesn't sustain or exist, they would have showed it kind of phased back or something. So whatever's been affected in there, I think stays. So that's why Monica, I think whatever happened to her in that transition, getting her out of there, is going to probably stay with her. Stays. The twins exist, and in Vision, big question mark for me is that if I didn't see that jump rope thing, I would say Vision is definitely either dead, or it's a PTSD flashback that Wanda had, that nightmare of this reality of why I'm doing this and stuff, and it reminded her of that. So I'm not sure. I'm on the fence, and I'm okay being on the fence.
That's a very good point.
Dang.
Yeah, one other thing about Vision that we haven't really talked about is Vision throughout the MCU prior to WandaVision never had super speed.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But in the series, he has Quicksilver's ability for super speed. So what's going on there? How did he get that ability, or is she just transferring the grief of both losses into one person, and that's why he has taken on that characteristic? Any thoughts on why that's happening?
So I think it's go towards. So we look at the power of the twins and stuff. One's speedster, the other has magic powers like his mom, and I think she created so we know that Vision, his mind power, he computes at super, he's a supercomputer and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that we know for a fact he's faster than anything as far as the thought process. We can see him phase in and out and stuff. But you're right, that super speed was not a power that we were introduced to. And we know that one of the kids have that power. I'm not sure if Wanda, I'm not sure if that was a memory that was planted or a thing that was planted in her, is why she said that you can move at the speed of light, because we have never seen that. We just mm-hmm. I mean, if he could, so many of the Avenger movies would have been over a lot quicker and stuff. He would save some, but anyway, I don't know. That's a great mystery that people, I think a lot of people miss. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and they did call it out in the show. I mean, they specifically said, "Thank goodness I have this super speed," or whatever it was that he said. Yeah,
and the doctor was like, "Can we walk? Can we walk?" And we did talk about that. Yeah, we talked about that last time a little bit, David, when we were saying it wasn't questioned because it was.
It's a part of that reality.
It was part of the illusion. Yeah.
Right.
So as long as it wasn't part of reality, it wasn't questioned. I am going to go ahead and share the trailer for next week, and then we can talk about that.
There we go.
We now have first-person intel from inside the Westview anomaly.
What are we looking at here? Is it an alternate reality, time travel?
It's a sitcom.
Starring 2 Avengers?
It's a working theory. life moves fast out in the suburbs.
I think something's wrong here.
Should we just take it from the top?
Wanda.
I don't know how any of this started.
What is outside of Westview?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about. It's probably just a case of the Mondays. Am I right?
Did it finish?
That last scene was totally The Office. Down to the Michael Scott kind of, am I right?
My one thing that stood out for me was life can be perfect when it's made just for you.
Yeah, that's what the writing said, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what flashed between the clips
Yeah.
was life can be perfect when it's made just for you.
And the guy
it's telling me somebody's making this life,
That's
Wanda.
definitely something Mephisto
come on.
would say. Part of Mephisto's dealing with things. So I think that was a huge clue to that. I do think it was either The Office or Modern Family was that. But am I right? Am I right?
Yeah. That looked like Modern Family. I think Bill pointed that out when talking about
Modern
it.
Family, but it could be The Office.
But yeah, I mean, like a couple things, like you said, David. I mean, you see the tank or the vehicle. We don't know if it made it through or not. But then in the beginning of it, you see Vision standing on the inside trying to get through it. Mm-hmm. So that kind of makes me think if Vision is, like we've been talking about him being dead, why would he even be worrying about that? So maybe he's more than we actually think he is, because he obviously is trying to get through it. I noticed it was even weird that when he breathed, you could see Brett. He had like steam, like it was cold, and he's not a person. So
it'd be both. I mean,
yeah,
reality is very We don't know all the sorcery to this reality and stuff. So
it's all a big mind F.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe that steam that we saw was actually smoke from leftover Big Red from episode 1.
Possibly. It's possible.
Maybe he's like frying from the inside and he's like smoking.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of stuff, and I think you see the badass Wanda when she's floating down in her outfit. I mean, where'd that come from? You know, so obviously something's changing. This is obviously the Halloween episode. It seems like everyone's excited about the Halloween one. That's when he awakens Agnes from the car. We didn't see that on here, but we've seen that in the other trailers. So I don't know. I think it's next episode. I saw something that the next 5 episodes are just like roller coasters, each one of them. That there's not going to be any more fillers or anything like that. It's all,
bring it.
That actually goes to something that was in the notes on the board for the previous episode about Vision awakening people. I actually wrote that under I can't remember the guy's name starts with the A.
Anush or whatever.
Anush. Yeah. And his thing, there's that little blurb that says Vision awakes Anush, and Anush talks about him missing. He's worried about his mom and his sister and stuff. So there's this whole thing about him being awakened by Vision and stuff, and then going back into that trance and stuff. So, and then we see actually Vision actually awakening Agnes for all the people and stuff. And so I think there's something to that and stuff and this reality. I don't know. It's a big mystery around Vision and stuff. Think he's alive. He could be dead.
Sam nailed it.
They did write that.
It's a big mind F.
It's a big mind F. But they did write on the board. They did write, is Vision dead? Is Vision really dead?
Yeah.
I'm like, Now I don't know.
Why would they ask that if they weren't sure? Why would they even write that down if they know something?
If there's not a possibility.
Jesus.
There's a possibility. Before we started this conversation, I was like, there is zero possibility that Vision is alive. And now you guys got me thinking maybe Viz isn't really dead. Maybe
I think it's what Bill said about the I don't even understand that crap, but the multiverse. I think somehow he is these two worlds versus multiverses have crossed, and he's alive in another one. I think Bill's dead onto something, actually.
I mean, whether it's that or whether it's just her power is strong enough to actually bring something back from the dead, that is always a possibility too.
Well, that makes sense because she's awesome. So
yeah, she is.
Think about that. So if the Big Bang kind of imbued all the Infinity Stones with their cosmic power, and we know those stones with that radiation activates things in her, and let's just say the Soul Stone. Soul Stone has the ability to make dead things alive and live things dead and stuff. That's the great thing, and put things in pocket universes and everything else. So if her power was fully turned on, because it's not like it gave, like these stones didn't, or the cosmic radiation didn't give her these powers. It activated what was existing for her. So if they turned this on, she has this Omega level power, like in the comic books and stuff. She could absolutely have the power to bring dead things back to life.
If she has her Omega level powers, there's pretty much nothing she cannot do.
Which makes her dangerous. I'm serious. She can't exist. If she is fully the Omega level power of the Scarlet Witch, there's no place for her to exist in this universe, because a person with that, I'm just being straight up, Shawn, a person with that level of power, that fragile of a mind, I guess, kind of Thor referenced, about his power of Mjolnir and everything else, about how human beings would collapse under the awesome power of what
she's a ticking time bomb.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
She will self-destruct and destroy everything around her.
So,
the whole world.
She has to go, and I think it's going to be the play into she may be the big baddie in Doctor Strange, and I think that's what they're setting up. But we'll see. We'll see. We got several more episodes to go, which I'm excited.
I got a month of liking her at least still before she completely turns bad.
You can still like her if she's bad. Remember, she's a fictional character.
That's true.
I mean, how many ladies are in love with Loki? The Loki love is real. It's not all across. Like, Sam, I saw your face when I said that, and you're not one of them. Very obvious. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. There's a lot of love for Loki out there from the ladies. So,
I mean, I can't say much. I'm a big fan of Kylo, so.
Well, I'll tell you.
That's a whole nother topic, a whole nother show.
Well, I'll tell you this. So when we were talking, like in previous shows, like when Chris was around, when we had the old Marvel Tribe and stuff, we talked about like our villain list, and I had to kick Loki off the villain list because he's not a villain. He's a bad boy, but in the end, he's always doing, just like Crybaby Kylo Ren, doing what he absolutely needs to do. He's chucking it up for the team. Sorry, Sam. But
it's the reality of it, man. If she's going to make Shawn,
Loki's not a villain, so he doesn't qualify to be a villain on any list and stuff. He's just a bad boy who just loves being a troublemaker, but he absolutely comes through in the clutch.
That's why the ladies love him.
Yeah.
You can depend on him, but he's a bad boy. Okay, we're getting off topic. All
right.
Oh, because we're attacking you now? We're getting.
No, we're not. I'm not attacking. Wait. This started as a compliment, and me saying it's okay, even if she's a villain, you could still like her, Shawn.
All right, I do. So it doesn't matter.
So, do we want to talk about the
spoilers
leak and
the leak?
Yeah.
Let's. I mean, if you
do we? Did you guys watch it?
I won't go into details. I'm not going to feed trolls and
yeah.
But we can talk about the news around it and what's going on. And so for those who don't know, some people got their hands on some footage from future episodes and stuff, and leaked some of those.
I think it's the trailer 6 promo. Honestly,
yeah,
I think it's the actual promo for the season for episode 6.
Well, I heard there was a little longer running than, like, our trailers are pretty snippets and stuff, and there were some longer running scenes on it. I wouldn't watch it but it was right there on Instagram. Anyone who saw it this weekend, you had a choice to watch it or not. But what I do know is that Disney's lawyers are suiting up. Looks like they're doing a lot to scrub. I mean, they're feverishly scrubbing any trace of this leaked footage and stuff. But we all know the internet wins out at the end and stuff. But the fact that they're actively doing that, and there's rumors saying that because of this, they may just go ahead and release 2 episodes on Friday, which part of me is like, well, thank you for leaking that. to prompt that because I'm all for it.
We won't complain.
Yeah, that's not going to suck.
We won't complain about that.
yeah. Just and even if it's not that big detrimentally to the seasons going forward. I mean, to the series going forward. Release the 2 episodes anyway. Just good measure because I was extremely hurt. I knew it was going to end at the 35 whatever minute mark and stuff. It was the first time where I was like, I was satisfied in the first 3. I'm like, okay, I see where you're going. I can be patient and wait. This 4th one, I was like, you got to give me more. Like right. I actually went to the menu and looked for the next episode. I'm like, this can't be this is not fair. I want more like right now. My Netflix binging brain, the lizard brain, activated right then and there. So you hear me, Disney, release 2 episodes next Friday. That's all I'm going to say.
That would work.
Because the Blurred Hulk said so.
That's right.
2, please, 2. I mean, you can release the rest of the series, too. I won't be
that'd be fine.
Well, I mean, I guess they'll see how far that leak goes and who did it. Disney has and Disney Plus has done an amazing job of keeping secrets from us in the past. Like, no one knew that Luke was going to be in that last episode of Mando, which was amazing because it was a surprise.
Yep.
For sure.
So I don't know. I am sure they will get to the bottom of it, and whoever is responsible will be disciplined.
And I will say, I'm one of those people that watched the leak. I'm not going to tell you what was in it.
I did
but
too.
It gave me so many more questions.
Oh God, yes. Have we all watched it? Did you watch it, David?
No.
Okay. All right.
Nope.
Okay. I did not watch it. I did see a recap of what was talked about, though.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe after this is over, we can discuss. We
can discuss a little bit
after David leaves.
Yeah,
David's not ready for it.
I don't know. I'm vexed, but we want to discuss it and stuff. I'm all for a little discussion. I'm not actually visually, so I'll still be surprised visually.
When
I
it's
see
pretty crazy,
whatever unfolds.
So, does anyone else have anything? Sam, final thoughts on episode 4?
Amazing. They gave us everything that we needed to put the story together so that the fans who were lost the first 3 episodes are now like, yes, give me more. I want it now. Just like David said, I'm ready for it.
Yep. How about you, David?
I echo the same sentiments. I think even more the fact that they gave us 2 watching buddies, like as Darcy. We're like, they put Darcy on our side as dissecting and trying to figure out what's going on. So I love the way they did that, the way they angled that. So, and
she's asking all the questions that we've been asking, like the exact questions we've been asking are coming out of Darcy's mouth.
Yeah, and the whiteboard. The whiteboard has all of the questions everyone has been asking. That's what I love about that, is that they are really just documenting all of the same things. Yeah.
Bill, what were your final thoughts on it?
I was satisfied. I was hooked on the first episode. So yeah, I'm not one of those people that was like boring or anything.
Right, no, I agree.
But this episode just really blew the roof off the place. It was amazing. So, gosh, thank you, Marvel, for doing that. And also, just a side note, Shawn, thank you for inviting me on this week.
Oh, absolutely. You're welcome anytime you want to come on, buddy. You want to come on next week?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, all right.
If you want to
have Bill's here next week, too. We'll figure it out.
Man, there goes your listeners.
Oh, come on. Speaking of listeners, Bill, tell us about EarB&B and where we can find you guys.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m., we do a live broadcast on Facebook. And then you can find those episodes on all of the podcast platforms. At midnight Eastern time tonight, we will be releasing a very special episode. Only 2 podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, all of those places where you can hear our interview with former Imagineer Jason Sorrell. Sam joined us on that, and it was a lot of fun. And we'd love if you came over and checked us out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Check out EarB&B for sure. Sam, Disology, what's the topic this week?
Disology this week, we just recorded and it goes out at midnight tomorrow. We are talking about scientific inaccuracies in Disney films.
Cool.
So things that could not really happen.
And you can catch all of our other shows. Walt's Apartment Podcast is on Wednesday night. The live stream comes out on Thursday or late Wednesday night. Force Fridays every other Friday. It's our Star Wars show. And then we have the Extra Magic Hour as well, which is our Disney Parks podcast. And you also can catch Shawn Nyberg's episodes of the Disney Beat that come out on Monday, which is basically a recap of all news on the DisInsider.com. So for me, myself, for Sam, for the Blurred Hulk, David, and Bill, I want to thank you all for joining us this week on the Marvel Tribe, and we can't wait to see you next week. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goose.